So pseudocode is one of the other way of representing an algorithm. One method we learned, that is a flowchart. One more method is a pseudocode. What exactly the flow control? It depicts the flow of the events as represented in the flow chart. So algorithms where all the steps are executed one after the other, that is in a sequence, is nothing but your sequence control. There can be more than one approach to solve the problem using the computer. Hence, we can have more than one algorithm. Hello everyone, myself Jayashree Chandru, Department in Computer Science, Vidyashram, Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Welcome back to the session 2, Chapter 4, Introduction to Problem Solving. Now let us understand what and all we'll be learning in this session. That is, topics covered under this session is representation of algorithm, flowchart, examples of the flowchart we'll be discussing, pseudocode, benefits of the pseudocode, flow control, verifying algorithms, comparison of the algorithm, and at the last, coding and decomposition. So now let us understand what is representation of algorithm. In my last session, I explained you about what is algorithm, that is a sequence, step-by-step instructions. What we give is called as the algorithm. So what exactly the representation of the algorithm? There are two methods where we represent an algorithm, that is flowchart and the pseudocode. So what exactly the flowchart and the pseudocode? Like, neither of the methods can be used to represent an algorithm. It showcases the logic of the problem solution, excluding any implementation details, and it clearly reveals the flow of control during the execution of the program. So that is what we represent an algorithm. So one method is like flowchart. What exactly the flowchart means? That is a diagrammatic representation of the algorithm or visual representation of the algorithm is known as the flowchart. So what is that visual representation? We will see that the flowchart diagram is made up of boxes, diamonds, shapes and symbols, which is connected by the arrows, is called as the flowchart. So each shape here represents the step-by-step solution, where the arrow represents you to give the flow of control, where it will link among the steps. So that is about the flowchart. So now let us see what and all the symbols, shapes and the boxes we will use in the flowchart visually represent an algorithm. The first shape is the oval. So oval shape represents the symbol, and it represents the meaning of that oval is start. Next we have a parallelogram. Parallelogram symbol, as you all know, that it represents with input and the output. So input or output, like how we give step-by-step instructions in an algorithm, that is step 1 start. Same way start represents this. Step 2 input or read. So the input symbol, this is what. And next we have a rectangle, that is process and the calculation. If I take sum of two numbers, sum is equal to a plus b, I'll give. So the calculation exactly, or the process how it takes place, we represent here. That is in the rectangle. And we have a preparation for the loop. In upcoming, you will be learning what exactly the flow control, the for loop statements. So this is the symbol what it represents. Next we have a rhombus. Rhombus is a decision or the branching, again true or false. It has to decide exactly. So this is the symbol what we use. You can call it as rhombus or a diamond symbol or anything. Next we have a predefined process. So this is used for the subprograms, very hardly we'll use this. Next we have connector. So this is used for the connection purpose, that is a circle symbol. Next, as you all know, that the arrows, right, left, up and the down arrows, it is for the control flow or to connect these step by step visually what we represent. So these are some of the set of symbols what we use to represent visually the flow chart. Now here I have taken one example of the flow chart. So how exactly the flowchart will represent? The example is the flowchart to calculate square of a number. So start and the stop, you're seeing the symbols. Start and the stop is, we call it as a terminator. So the oval symbols, this is a parallelogram symbol, this is a rectangle. Again parallelogram for the output. As we all know that input and the output, this is for the process, the calculation. And you can see the flow lines, how it is connected. So now I'll explain about like how exactly the flow chart goes. So start input num, like I'm inputting a number. You can take any variable. I have taken as num. So num is the input. So square of two numbers, as you all know that I need to multiply num into num. So the asterisk symbol what I am using here. So num into num, example 2 into 2 is equal to 4. The result will be printed here. That is what? Print num, and I am stopping this. So this is about the flow chart. So next we'll see what exactly the pseudocode means. So pseudocode is one of the other way of representing an algorithm. One method we learned, that is a flow chart. One more method is a pseudocode. Either ways we can represent the algorithm. Considered it as a non-formal language which helps the programmers to write an algorithm. That is a non-formal language. It doesn't have any formal language, where it helps the non-programmers to learn and write the algorithm. Detailed description of the instructions will be given, and pseudo means it is not real, means the non-programmers where they'll use the non-formal language. So what and all, like the keywords we will be using in the pseudocode, we will see the keywords like input, that is for input the numbers or inputting a variables or read a variables. This is a keyword what we use. Compute for processing, print for the result, increment, decrement are the keywords. If and else, the flow control, and keywords while, true or false. So these are some of the set of keywords what you will be learning in this chapter. These are the pseudo keywords what we will be using. So here I have taken one example with pseudocode and the flowchart. So the algorithm to display the sum of two numbers entered by the user using both pseudocode and a flowchart. Here you can see this is a pseudocode and this is the flowchart. First, let us understand what is a pseudocode, how to write. This is a non-formal language as I explained you. Input num1, input num2. These are the two variables what I am taking, that is entered by the user. So now I have to calculate. So for that I am using a compute keyword. Compute result is equal to num1 plus num2. Example, num1 will be 10, num2 will be 20. So the result should be 30. So print result. So this is the pseudocode which everyone can easily understand. It is a non-formal language for the non-programmers who can understand and who can write. So the same flow chart, how it represent. Start, input num, sum is equal to num plus num. Next, print result and the stop. So this is about the example of pseudocode and the flow chart. So next, what exactly the benefits of the pseudocode when I learn and when I write, when I implement. So before writing a codes in a high level language, a pseudocode of a program which helps in representing the basic functionality of intended program. Before you write any of the program in a high level language, so before that, like you can write a pseudocode which helps in representing, understanding in a better way, basic functionality for that particular intended program. That is one kind of a benefit. By writing a code first in a human readable language, the programmer safeguards against the leaving out any of the important step. That is one kind of a benefit. Before we write, like understand the pseudocode, and when we write, after that implementing in a higher level language, it safeguards against the leaving out any important step, so that it will safeguard. Besides, for non-programmers, the actual programs are very difficult to read and understand. But pseudocode, which will help us to like review these steps, confirm the purpose, proposed implementation is going to achieve for the desired output. So here, like non-programmers, it is very difficult for them to write and understand. So pseudocode will help to review it, understand in a better way. So that is what it is mean by. So these are some of the benefits of the pseudo code. So next we have flow control. What exactly the flow control? It depicts the flow of the events as represented in the flow chart. So in the flow control, we will be learning about like three different things, that is sequence, selection and the repetition. The events can flow in a sequence or on a branch based on the decision, that is what selection. Sequence is again with the step by step, and also it can repeat some part, that is what we call it as a repetition. So these are, in such situation, the algorithm can be used by writing sequence, selection and repetition. So in a flow control, like neither you can write in a sequence, or you can decide like whether it is true or false, or do nothing or don't do anything, or selection and repetition, that is repeating of the loop, we call that as iteration. Also in my next slide you will be seeing what exactly the repetition. So now let us learn one by one according to this flow control. So what exactly the sequence? As you all know, that a sequence construct means the statements are being executed sequentially, one next to the other. So algorithms where all the steps are executed one after the other, that is in a sequence, is nothing but your sequence control. It is simply performing one step after the other. Means after one statement to next statement, that is statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3. 1, 2 and 3 statements. So here we have a selection control. What exactly the selection control, we will understand. Selection construct means the execution of statements depending upon a condition, that is what the selection. So if condition evaluates to true, set of statements is followed, otherwise a different set of statements are followed. This is what the selection statement means, that is the execution is depending upon the condition. What kind of condition we will give, like it is true, then it will display, or it will go to the different statement followed with the condition. So this construct is also known as a decision construct because it helps in making a decision about the set of statements that has to be executed, that is a true or a false conditions. So it is also used to make yes or no, true or false conditions. Logically, the decisions is made logically. So this is about the selection condition. One is a sequence, step by step it will take. Next is a selection. It decides according to the condition what we take. Next, this is about the selection statement. You can see this is one representation I have taken. This is a decision box. If the decision here, if I represent, if it is true or if it is yes, display this. So output will be displayed here. If it is no, go to the box, check. If it is not no, display this. So this is about the selection format, how we represent in the flow chart. So next, we will see the syntax of the if statement, that is a selection statement. If condition is a syntax, statement what we give here. So example here I have taken about like who is eligible to vote or not eligible to vote. This is one if construct I have taken, that is a if loop. Example of the if statement, age is equal to int, input, enter your age. So here enter your age. If age is greater than or equal to 18, so print eligible to vote. So this is the if construct, how exactly the selection control will take place. So next we have a if else also, means if they are not eligible to vote, then it will display. If they are not eligible to vote, what is a construct for that? So if condition statement, else again the statement means display if it is true, nor don't display, then the statement is false. So example of the if else is age is equal to int input, enter your age. Next, if age is like greater than or equal to 18, eligible to vote. If they are not greater than or 18, then they are not eligible to vote. According to the input what I give, if I give like age is below 18, then it will print not eligible to vote. If it is greater than or equal to 18, then it will display they are eligible to vote. I have taken one example, that is to find a greater of two numbers. So step 1 start, step 2 read A and B. In the step 3, like I am representing the if control statement, that is if A is greater than or B, display that A is the largest number, or else display the B is the largest number, and step 4 will be stop. So the representation of the flow chart is like this with the decision box. Start, input A and B, that the user is entering the numbers, that is inputting a numbers A and B. Next here, like if it is greater than or lesser than, that is what we mention here in the decision box. If like A is greater than or B like anything. Next in the decision box you can see here if it is false and if it is true, output A and output B. A is greater than or B like output A, that is true. If it is not, like output B, and it will come to the stop. So this is how like we represent an algorithm and the flow chart using the if else construct. So next we have a syntax for if else if. This is also a selection construct. So the syntax goes like this: if condition, the statement. Next, else if condition, statement, else the statement. Here I have taken the number positive or negative, or if it is not positive, then it has to be a negative. If it is not negative also, it has to be at the last the 0. So here how the statement takes place, we'll see. Number is equal to int input, enter a number. If number is like greater than 0, the number is positive. If else if number is lesser than 0, then obviously it is a negative, nor it has to be a 0, that is else if construct. So these are the selection controls what we call. Next we have a repetition or the iteration, that is a last flow control statement. The iteration is nothing but the repetition is also known as a iteration, that is repeating of the loops we call. So iteration construct means repetition of the set of statements or a set of loops depending upon the condition test. That is what is mean by the iteration. So iteration is a looping construct, as I told you. Iteration is a combination of decision and also the sequence that repeat these steps, what we call. Iteration can be thought of as like while something is true, do this, otherwise just stop. This is the iteration. Iteration logic is used when it is used, that is when one or more instructions may be executed n number of times or several times depending upon some condition. For that we use this iteration loop, that is a repetition of the loop construct. So syntax for the iteration, we have two loops, that is for and the while. So we will see for variable in sequence we will take statements to repeat. More about this looping statements we will be learning in next chapter, that is getting started with Python. Here only about the introduction to problem solving we are learning how to represent the flowchart and the algorithm and how to solve a problem based on these statements. So for variable in sequence, statements to repeat. Next, example for the for loop, here I have taken for letter in Python, print letter. So this is one construct, and syntax for the while loop, while test condition, body of the while, it will come. In depth we will be learning in the next chapter. So this is the syntax of the for and the while loop. Next, How can we verify an algorithm? Now we learned what is an algorithm, what is a flow chart, and we learned about the flow control, we learned about the pseudocode, all these things. So at the last it comes like how you will verify a algorithm. So verifying an algorithm, as we all know that we need to verify the algorithm once or twice before we go in depth with the other steps. So what exactly the verifying an algorithm means? So to verify, we have to take a different input values and go through all the steps of the algorithm to yield a desired output. So once or twice, n number of inputs, the desired input for that particular output, what exactly the permutation and the combination of the inputs we need to keep on checking. So that is nothing but verifying an algorithms once or twice to yield a desired output, and for each input value may modify the or we can improve as per needed. So as I told you, we need to keep on checking. So the method of taking an input and running through the steps of the algorithm is sometimes also called as the dry run. What is this dry run? Like taking an input and running through the steps of the algorithm, sometimes we call it as the dry run. So dry run, what it helps exactly, why we need a dry run, why it is called as a dry run, we'll see. Identify any incorrect steps in an algorithm, it is helpful. Figure out missing details or specifies in the algorithm. Next, it is important to decide the type of the input value to be used for the simulation. And in case all possible input values are not tested, then the program will fail. So before that, we need to take a step ahead and we need to check all kinds of input values for that output. We need to check like n number of times with different combinations we need to give. So this is nothing but verifying an algorithm. So next, comparison of the algorithm. We need to compare the algorithm. What is exactly comparing? There can be more than one approach to solve the problem using the computer. Hence, we can have more than one algorithm. Example, for one particular algorithm, for the one particular problem solving, we can write 2 or 3 kinds of algorithms. That is nothing but like one more simpler method can be applied to the same problem. So that is writing an algorithm in a different kinds or ways, what we call. So algorithms can be compared and analyzed on the basis of the amount of processing time. So they need to run the amount of memory that is needed to execute the algorithm. So this is one kind of comparing. So these are termed as the time complexity and also the space complexity respectively. Like we'll be having a simple method also and we'll be having a complicated method also. So than complicated method, the simpler method is very easy. Example like math problem. So same way we need to compare. So when we compare the answer, we'll get the same, but we have a different kinds of methodologies. So same way here also, algorithm can be written in a lengthy way also and in a simpler way also. So that is how like we can keep on comparing with different kinds of algorithms for the one particular problem. So this is nothing but the comparison of the algorithm. So there can be like more than one approach to solve the problem, as we all know that. So next we have a coding. So what exactly the coding means? That is processing of converting the algorithm to the syntax of the given programming language is known as the coding. In ordered set of instructions is written in the programming language by following its syntax. So what exactly the syntax means? Syntax is nothing but a rules, the set of rules or a grammar that governs the formulation of the statements in the language, such as spellings or in order to like words, punctuation, etc. This we call it as a syntax. In a simple words, if I tell, it is a set of rules or the protocols which governs the formulation of the statements in that particular programming language. We call that as the syntax. So a program written in a high level language is called as the source code. So the program which is written in a high level language, we call that as what? The source code. Next, we have decomposition. What is the meaning of decomposition? Why we need a decomposition in the problem solving? That is, complex problem solution is not directly derivable and decompose into the smaller parts. That is nothing but the decomposition. Break the small sub problems, that breaking a large problems or a complex one into a smaller modules. So finally it is combined in a logical way or to obtain the solution for the main problem is nothing but decomposing. Complex one can be break down into the sub programs or to the modules to logically to get or obtain a solution to the main problem is nothing but your decomposition. So begin statement 1, 2, 3 in order. We will take it, that is in a sequence. So this is about the last topic for today, that is decomposition. So thank you once again. Let us meet up in the next session with a new chapter with the new techniques. Thank you.